Welcome back, geometry students. Welcome to our next unit on transformations. Today's notes are titled 10-1, Translations. Okay, before we get started, I want to make sure you understand that your notes need to go in your journal, and your notes look exactly like my notes. Everything I write down, you write down. Also, don't forget your WSQ at the end of this lesson. Some of you guys have been telling me you have trouble with the WSQ, it doesn't load on your phone. Make sure you find a computer or some way to record your WSQ to make sure you get credit for these notes. All right, first off, we're talking about all transformations, okay? Every transformation that we have is a change in position, shape, or size. A change in position, shape, or size. Anytime during this video, please pause the video and make sure you get these notes as well. So we say that any point goes from A to A prime. This little apostrophe stands for A prime, or it stands for prime, so we say A prime in this case. So we know which one is the new one and which one is the old one based on the apostrophe there. There's two words we need to know, the pre-image and the image. The pre-image is before the change, the image is after the change. So pre-image, which is the original or the old figure, becomes the image, which would be the new figure. For example, if I have triangle A, B, C, under some kind of transformation that becomes triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. Again, in class today we talked about all the different kinds of transformations. The first one we're doing here is translations. All right, let's talk about what that translation is. The word you know for translation is maybe slide. So if a figure or an object or even a point just slides around, that's called a translation. Okay? A translation is a transformation that maps points in the same distance and direction. Okay, make sure you get that definition written down. A transformation that maps points in the same distance and direction. We can give a translation using arrow notation. Our arrow notation takes an original point, xy, and this arrow is hence we get the name arrow notation. So xy becomes x plus a, y minus b. The x and the y are the coordinates, but then the plus a plus b are the actual transformations that happen to them, the translation, rather. Okay? We can do this positive or negative. With the x coordinate, if it's positive, it can be positive or negative. If it's positive, think about what happens on the x coordinates. It is left to right. So if it's positive, I'm moving to the right. And if it's negative, I'm moving to the left. All right? The y coordinate over here, the change can be either positive or negative as well. If it says y plus something, I'm going to go up. And if it's y negative something, I'm going to go down. Just using some common sense about our graphs that we know and the direction that it'll go, either up or down. So arrow notation is important. We can give that to you to say what happens. All right, let's do some examples together. Example number 1 says, write a rule to describe the translation. I've got two examples, example A and example B. Example A gives you a graph, example B just gives you the coordinates. Anytime I give you a graph here in these transformation notes, I don't expect you to copy it down perfectly. I do expect you to sketch it down though. Just give me a sketch of these figures, okay? I've got triangle KED. This is my pre-image. And it becomes triangle K prime, E prime, D prime. This is my image. Okay, so it goes that direction. Obviously, we can tell that it slides up that direction. But we're going to write a rule to give it to us, okay? I can write a rule two different ways. I can write it in words, or I can use my arrow notation. In words, all I have to do is identify, well, how do I go from the pre-image to the image? And to do that, just look at one specific coordinate. I'm going to look at D, for example, here. Okay, D goes from this coordinate up to that coordinate. So quite clearly, I move to the left 2, and then I go up 1, 2, 3, 4. So left 2, up 4. Okay, so writing that in arrow notation is going to be this way. This is very important. This is something the students usually have trouble with. So xy is always what we start with. So we say xy becomes, if we go left 2, up 4, the x changed minus 2, and the y changed positive 4. So we write it like that. xy becomes x minus 2, y plus 4. All right, example B, I've got points M, P, and G, and then points M prime, P prime, and G prime. To find this translation, all we really need to look at is one coordinate. Just like I did over here, I looked at D. So over here, I'm going to go, how do I go from M to M prime? Okay, using words, I can look at this. My x-coordinate comes first. It goes from 2 to -4. So you're going to ask yourself, how do I move on the number line from 2 to -4? Well, I'm going to move 6 down the number line. So 6 with the x-coordinate is going to move me 6 units left. And the y-coordinate, look at that. It goes from 0 to -3. So how do you move from 0 to -3? I go down the number line 3 units, 3 numbers. This is the y-coordinate, so it's going up or down on the axis, or on the graph. So for this, I'm going to go down 3 units. So in words, I can go 6 units left and down 3 units. Then in my arrow notation, I can also do that. See if you can do this. Pause the video. See if you can write your arrow notation given this rule. Okay, my xy coordinate becomes x minus 6, y minus 3. So in words or my arrow notation. And I kind of messed up here. I should have said 6 units left and 3 units down. But you get the idea. We go left and right and then up and down next. Again, it's important that we move left and right first and then up and down next, just like coordinates on a graph. All right, example 2. For example 2, I also have example A and example B. Example 2 says find the coordinates of the image. Yes, I want you to write down the directions down. And then we got part A says a translation 4 units to the right and 3 units down. I have an original triangle here, and if you could just go ahead and pause the video and make sure you get that triangle in your notes. I'm going to translate everything 4 units right and 3 units down. When I do that, that'll give me the new coordinates of the image. So take one coordinate at a time. The Q goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3. So this becomes Q prime. If I've got K, I move 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3. That becomes K prime. And then E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. I would get E prime. So here becomes our image of our triangle. All right, we also want to give the coordinates of those. So E prime is at 0, -2. K prime is at +3, 0. And Q prime is at 1, 2, 3, 4, +4, -2. Good recollection of how we plot points there as well. Example 2b then says we have a translation and it gives us an arrow notation. xy becomes x plus 2y. So think to yourself what happens with that. With my x coordinate, I go 2 units to the right, and then my y doesn't change, it stays the same. But now I have these coordinates and I got to find the coordinates after this transformation, or after this translation. So r prime, I go 2 units to the right, so it's going to add 2 to -3. -3 plus 2 is -1. And the y doesn't change, it stays 0. Go ahead and pause this video, see if you can get the rest of those coordinates, and then replay it and come back together. I've got Q prime is going to become -2, 1. I've got U prime is going to become +1, 4. And then M prime is going to become 4, 2. All right, so that's all we have for translations. Make sure you get all those notes, everything in your journal. Make sure you guys also get the WSQ. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll see you tomorrow.